orders because the military ones were odd size. That's how they tell because technically the military stuff is not warranted.
Right.
And so they had a funny size. I in my early days I made that mistake because a guy goes, "Hey, I want to trade this set in for one of your set." And I didn't know the difference, or I didn't know, and I gave him the trade in value, gave him a set, brought it home, and it sat around. And one day I went to use the ratchet, and I grabbed the regular socket, and it wouldn't fit on.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, what the heck? And then I started looking, and I grabbed a set from there, it'll fit on. And then, of course, for the thanks for Google, kind of typed in some stuff, and I was like, oh, God, what the heck am I going to do with this thing?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a most of that military stuff, so it was black, because I was at the Englishtown swap meet one year, and I'm walking out, and there was a dude. Actually, he happened to be a black dude. He was at a table, and he had like
what's up, guys?
A smattering. Hey, Keith, just a smattering of Snap-on tools. Some stuff was brand new, and other stuff was used. And this black 3/8 drive ratchet, 3/8 drive ratchet caught my eye, so I picked it up, and I was like, "Wow, it was in pretty good shape." I said, "How much you want for this?" He says, $65. I said, "You take 50?" So I think I ended up giving him 60, and we determined it was military, but it does fit sockets and extensions.
Yeah.
Extreme Power US 8-piece torque wrench lead. Yeah, that looks like a.
Then
they don't show it in action though, huh?
I don't think so. Let me see this video. Hold on.
They're showing you different pictures.
Looks like you're going to crank up a Model T or something.
Yeah.
Kickback. You better watch. Don't break a wrist.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's why I'm trying to get something to make it easy.
Get something your wife can handle.
No, I don't know about all that.
Make sure a little lady can handle it. You never know. You may be busy doing something else.
No, there's no videos. I'm gonna have to do a video over it for my.
There you go. You do a video. Yeah.
Oh, it comes with sockets. Okay. Consider a similar object. That was that socket were a little.
I was just gonna say that the Gator grip, right?
Yeah.
Someone gave me that as a gift, and
yeah, my
it kind of works. It kind of works, but
does it's good if you're doing like wing nuts or
if something's not super tight.
You know when it worked for me, we had a caddy at the shop, a 63, and the motor had been rebuilt over 20 years ago and never ran. So I wanted to prime the oil system, and I didn't have a shaft that would fit. So the guys at the shop said, "How about use this?" And I actually put it down in there an extension, and it grabbed it, and I blew the tool out. I mean, it destroyed it, but it did turn it enough to get me oil pressure.
Yeah.
Well, this video is terrible. He's not showing nothing.
Yeah. He's just showing you the components. I want to see him outside with the truck.
Yeah, see it active being used. Like, how does it?
Yeah. Well, I know I'm going to make a video for that.
Yeah.
But the guy I watched on, he was doing it on his bus, and it worked pretty nice.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to hook up.
What was that other leg? Oh, sorry. What was that other leg that went on that tool? What was
that goes against the rim. So the socket goes on, and that little leg goes against the rim. And I guess when you start to go, it digs in. I guess.
Yeah, it stabilizes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it looked pretty neat. Yeah. But I'm still going to do air lines to my air tank. I got air brakes.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this, Brian. Should I add another tank, or can I go off of that tank?
You can go. I mean, personally, because if you have the room underneath of it, I would put a 10. You can get a 10-gallon tank for practically nothing, and that way you have air. I mean, you have a reserved air. You have air, and basically, it's just like even if you find. If you scrounge around and you find a old upright compressor that's 10 pound, like a Craftsman one, I mean, I bought one at a yard sale. It worked. Like I said, it's I think it's a 20-gallon portable compressor. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I only paid $25 for it.
Mm-hmm.
The guy was, getting rid of it was a Craftsman compressor. And, like I said, the tank on that, you can just strap it underneath and have it in there. And like I said, that way you can make sure that you're not, if you have to use X amount, you have reserve. I mean, and for the size of that tank, it doesn't take up much space, especially if you have a lot of room. I mean, if you still have a lot of room underneath your bus.
Yeah, I do.
You should have a shit ton. I mean, I can't imagine hanging a lot underneath of it, and you got a lot to hang underneath. I mean, storage wise, you can do that.
Yeah, I'm putting a lot of storage boxes on it, but I still got a lot of room.
Yeah, but like I said, if you got a 10-gallon tank, and the only thing that I would probably put in, and it really depends, and you can weld it in, I would put a drain on it on the bottom so that you could drain if you get water.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the trucker secret, and you probably know, if you mix in with your airline, rubbing alcohol to take the moisture out, you shouldn't have any issues.
Right. When I had my semis, I ran. I bought the ends that click onto the hoses that you hook to a trailer.
Right.
And I just use those.
Yeah.
But I think those tanks are a little bit bigger though.
Yeah. But like I said, it's not like you're using it to, really work on stuff. You just have it there for emergency, or you just have it there if you need it. And
tire or
right. If you have to air up a tire, and even if you, for some reason, had to do more than one tire, at least, with the tank and the reserve, and you run in the truck, run in the pump, it's not going to run constantly,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I was just going to hook to this tank, but like you said, I got room in there, so I might as well throw it.
Brian, I always wondered on emergency where they get to a scene of an accident and they come out with like a little air tank, and the guy would have an air chisel on it, and they're cutting the guy. I know when I use my air chisel, man, that uses a lot of air real fast. Yeah. Not what those little, they use those little skinny bottles that grandma has, Right. I was like, wait a minute, always wondered about that.
Yeah, no, like I said, when you got something like, especially if it depends on how controlling you are with the air chisel, but the biggest users are going to be your die grinders, your buffers, your sanders, and stuff like that run.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have I don't know what the smallest tank. I have a really, really small. It might be only 2.5 gallons or something, maybe 3. And like I said, I just use it to if I have one tire kind of low. I mean, like I said, you can run out and use it. But again, you're not going to run a lot of stuff for a long period. But if you just need it, it's there. And like I said, personally, I would try to find, I would even try to find something bigger, because you've got so much. You got so much room under. It depends on how much room you have left, but you can put something. I mean, I have on my tool truck, I have a 25-gallon propane tank underneath,
mm-hmm.
and I still have tons of room. That's a pretty big tank to run the heater.
Yeah.
And even if you figure you could strap. For example, if you wanted to strap two 5-gallon propane tanks and use them, convert them to air tanks, you could strap that under there. I'd be leery. I mean, if you got DOT inspection wise, or somebody saw that and wondered why you had propane tanks strapped underneath your bus.
Well, I do have them under there for my stove and my hot water. So I got propane under there too.
But like I said, I thought about running, putting propane and using. I have a couple propane tanks, and I came across. I think Milton made a conversion kit so you could change it to an air tank. And I had sold a couple, and I kept a couple because I was like, well, I want to convert these old tanks into air, and I can put air in them or put them in line. Usually, believe it or not, one of the do-it-yourself for, like, if you were painting something, if you put a tank, another tank in between your air tank and hose, you don't get the surge, especially if you're painting metallics. When the compressor turns on, you get a surge. The other tank's a dampener and takes up, so you don't get the extra spray through the gun on like metallics or whatever on some smaller stuff. You gotta. One of those things.
We're going from changing flats on the side of the road in the rain to spraying metallics in your driveway.
Yeah, well, you never know. You could do the typical what Brian did, and take the car and hit your dad's freshly painted garage door in the middle of the night, and then decide to repaint it in the middle of the night so nobody knows. And of course, not knowing that the old man mixed the paint, you painted the wrong yellow, and you had two different color yellow door, and you ended up ratting yourself. You should have just left it alone, but no, I think I had this talk with Ray. 95% of our problems we rat on ourselves. So you don't really. You think you're going to get away with it, and you end up ratting on yourself. So
Yep. That's funny.
That's true.
Well, your dad always found you out anyway. He always figured a good game out.
you weren't going to get it past him. So
no.
Unfortunately, it's that same thing. The apple didn't fall far from the tree. So you kind of. It's like dealing with your kids. You already kind of know what they're into because they're doing the same thing you did.
Right. Exactly. And they've done that.
So, yeah, but I would put a tank in. I don't know. I guess if you were in dire need for the money, that other thing, but I would want to see it really work a few times.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to get a cordless impact wrench too.
Yeah.
Battery powered one, you're saying?
Yeah.
There's plenty of those out there now.
And that Milwaukee stuff they're beast, man.
I was going to say, when the fellow at the shop took the tow truck wheels on and off for me, they sent over Mike's big socket set and his Milwaukee gun, and I thought it was his Snap-on gun for a minute when I saw the red, but then I looked like, no, that's Milwaukee. That's what we pulled those. That's what we put the studs in with too.
Yeah,
20 studs, one after the other with that gun. And man, you're right. That thing is a beast. It's a two-hander.
It's a great gun. I mean, especially the newer version of that's got a lot of power, dude. There's a lot of power.
What does that sell for? Do you know?
Right offhand, I don't know. I have to look.
Speaking of Milwaukee, I sent in that ratchet that I have, the battery-powered ratchet that he had done with Paul. And, you don't have much choice. So I said, all right, let's, consider it for warranty. So he said, no, it's not under warranty. And they said, no, we're not going to fix under warranty. But so you got three choices. We can either repair it, and they gave me a price of like $91.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I can get it for less than that in the store. Or we'll send it back or scrap it. So I actually called them, and I said, that 91, is that like up to 91? She goes, oh, no, that's the price. I was like, why would I have you repair it for $91? I could just go buy another one. So, Brian, you're going to be getting a parts ratchet because you could use some of the stuff, I'm sure, as organ donors.
Yeah.
So I told him, no, just send it back.
Yeah, I know you guys probably get tired, but I tell you, it's the whole industry it has really changed. And I tell guys, they come out and say, fix this. And I tell them, I said, dude, you're looking at X amount. And they look at me like, why is it so much? And I said, it just is now. It's not, you know, I don't want to be really off on my numbers, but when the stuff used to be basically a quarter or, you know, a quarter of the price to get it fixed, you know, that was one thing, but now it's past half.
Right.
And you have no warranty. You know, they don't want to warranty the stuff. And the biggest problem with electrical stuff or battery powered stuff is like that one piece that was missing in yours that you'd send it in and they would come back and say, oh, but it's going to need a stator, it's going to need a rotor. You know, they start other electrical components, and you're like, was it bad? No, but once we're in there.
You know, it's funny you say that because just last week we sent the 442 over to a tranny shop to have it resealed. And I drove it there. The car drove great. Yeah. Well, the owner of the shop gets back to us. He sends me pictures. He says, you know what? We took it apart. We're going to just do the reseal. But for some reason, I decided to just pull the drum out and look inside. He says, I don't know why I did that. I just wanted to see what was going on. And there's all the shattered pieces. He said, so I said, how the hell did it drive? He says, well, you would have lost reverse and third soon.
One day.
So now, you know, you're definitely looking at, you know, needing a rebuild. So we're going to do it. But it was the same thing. My friend in town who was going to do it, his go-to was like, oh, I want to rebuild it. Just like, you know what? It's old, screw it, take it apart, we'll rebuild it. Then the warranty's on me and I own it, you know. Yeah. So it ended up going the same way.
But, you know, it's like I had, I can't remember. I had, it was an air ratchet that I sent in. And I couldn't find the parts, or I couldn't find anything. And I told the guy, I said, dude, they're going to come back wanting everything under the sun. Once they're in there, you know, this is worn, this is weak, this is whatever. And he's like, it's kind of like a good scenario is the check engine light. Okay. Guy comes in and, you know, you got a check engine light and it says O2 sensor.
Yeah.
And, you know, so you put an O2 sensor and you're saying, look, you know, you got 200,000 miles. You might need a catalytic converter here.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you know, the guy goes, oh, well, just take care of this. And you go driving down the road and a week later, the light comes on and now it's got a cat code.
Yeah.
And then you tell the guy, he goes, well, it's the same light. No, it's got a different code with it.
Right. Yeah,
and
same light.
So, you know, you got this whole issue. Well, that's the same thing like this, you know, repairing this ratchet. You know, it has no power.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we can get away with just putting a head kit in it.
Right.
But it might need a vanes. It might need an end cap bearing. I mean, you know, something might be there. And sure enough, it never fails. The guy buys it. 2 weeks later, he goes, this thing doesn't have any power. It doesn't work. Well, now it needs this. And he's like, well, dude, it's the same problem.
I tell you the truth. If they would have done a repair and said, we're going to repair just this problem, and we want you to sign off that you're not going to come back and bite us when something else goes wrong, you know, we'll do it. I would have done it because I know how I'm going to use the thing. I'm not hard on those tools. I don't break things loose with it. And I always do my final tighten with a ratchet. It's just a tool to bring bolts and nuts in and out. So I would have gone for it without it.
Yeah, well, that's true. And then, you know, like I said, you know, and there's very few people like that, Ray, because it's just like the guy that says, hey, Brian, I'm going to pay you $50 a week. And are you going to do that? You going to sign this? You going to pay this? Oh, yeah. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, it's like, dude, I don't have any money, or I can only pay you 10. So
2 weeks later, Brian's at Harbor Freight with a pad and a pen.
Pad and paper, you know, hunting people down. So,
how often do you kid somebody?
It's fairly, I mean, after the radio show I went up, I didn't run into anybody. The last time I went, I hit three. I got three people. But, you know, it really depends on how much time I have to hang out. the last time or one time I was there so long. The security guard actually came over and asked me if I was casing the joint or something, or asked me why I was there so long. Because I'm just walking around in the store,
Right.
waiting for the person to walk in, and of course I was there so long that they finally, the security guard came over and asked me, if I needed help, and and then I've been in there long enough where somebody thought I worked there because I was there for long enough. So, like I said, it's I kind of,
Start helping people.
Oh yeah, well, like I said, it'd be great if I got a paycheck for it. But
Right.
like I said, I have my it's kind of weird after all this time. I do find a good time to go.
Yeah.
And you stumble across.
I tell you, they're having some really killer sales this weekend. So this is going to be the weekend to go. I wrote down two of them because there's two things I want. They got 25% off on all the Icon stuff, and they got some pliers and stuff that are pretty cool, and 40% off the Apache cases, the blow molded cases.
Oh yeah,
40% off. That's phenomenal.
Yeah,
they'll be some jumping. They'll be jumping this weekend, I'm sure.
So, like I said, I go out and I get lucky every once in a while when you go fishing.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at those impact. Milwaukee has like a ton of impact wrenches. It looks like.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing, trying to learn all that stuff because they have so many.
Mine's 20, I think it's a 2457-2.
All right.
Pretty sure that's the one that I'm using.
But
I told the Snap-on guy when I saw him 2 weeks ago, I gave my ratchet back for repair. I told him about the Harbor Freight trick. He's like, wow. He goes, that guy must be really hungry or really, must really need, need to chase. I was like, no, he just really hates it when guys skip out on him and it pisses him off. I said, so he tracks him down. I said, it's a matter of just, it's more of a matter of it's almost like an insult, and he wants to get his.
I mean, you should see the look on their face when they're sitting there in the restaurant eating dinner, and I go and sit next to them. So, and I've done it.
Like the Blues Brothers throwing shrimp.
Just about. It's just about when, and the look on his wife's or girlfriend's face when I sit down and say, I guess I came at the right time to get my meal.
How much for the women? The little girl.
Woo. Yeah. I mean, one time, this is back. You can tell how long ago this is. This is back when there was a Blockbuster.
Oh, yeah.
And the wife needed to go up the Giant, and we were coming back from someplace. So I drive by in the shopping center to go to the Giant. And as I'm driving, I look into the Blockbuster, and there's a guy that owes me money in the Blockbuster. This is like 9:30 at night or whatever,
Yeah.
So I said, oh, look at that. That guy owes me money. And the wife just shakes her head because she knows. I drove right up. I dropped her off at the Giant. I drove right back around. And he's the only person in Blockbuster, because I guess it was getting ready to. And here comes the Terminator.
Yeah. Right.
I open the door. I close the door. And the guy looks, and I see him duck down. And I said, there's only one way in and one way out.
You should have closed the door and then thrown the latch. I thought
about locking it, but I figured the poor guy that running the store would have thought that was it, dude.
Right, exactly.
But,
it's funny.
And as you walk down the aisle, then you see him sitting there, and you're like, did you drop something? oh, hey, what's up? I said, I don't know. You'd like to make a payment today? So
yeah, I've been looking for you, dude. Where you been?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got some money here. Good. I got a receipt book here, buddy. So
you be with you at all times,
huh? Just about.
That's the problem. People just do not take care of their responsibilities.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, I get more guys to say, when are you taking vacation? When are you taking off?
Don't you ever go away?
And I'm like, well, I'm not. So I'll be here.
So nice.
So
That's
so
funny.
back to these impact wrenches.
Okay, what do you got, Keith?
I keep looking at them. So what is there's some that has a friction ring, and then one is pin detent.
Yeah. The
What is that?
friction ring is basically like the regular ring on an impact that snaps on. Okay,
Oh,
a regular ring. The C ring here, a
right.
regular ring. A pin actually has a hole in it,
Little ball.
and it has no. It has a
Oh.
hole, and a pin slides through the socket and through the anvil. And
Oh,
that's usually on the heavy duty stuff.
oh, so that
Then-
marries the two.
Yeah, so
Oh.
that's why if you look at like a 1/2 inch socket, I don't.
Yeah, I've seen a hole in
have
the
a hole in
socket.
it.
They
I've
have a
always
hole
wondered
on.
why.
Even the 3/8 has holes in them. That they actually have a pin that goes through there and locks on. It works great, but you just got to remember when that pin is spinning around, you don't want to put your hand anywhere near because it will rip and it will fillet your fingers open.
I always wondered what that was for, and I never found out until now.
Now I see.
Yeah.
I see on the tool there's a little ring, and it looks like it probably.
It's like a hand grenade. It looks like a
Yeah.
pin, like a hand grenade,
Yep.
and that snaps in.
Yeah,
And they do have locking ones. Most impacts, so there are impact sockets that have locking ones. Now, where that pin is, or where that hole is actually a spring and a little pin that will go in, and you have to push it. You have to have like a paper clip or a pocket screwdriver and push the pin to release it. It actually locks in. That's another way that they do it. They hold up pretty good, but that's another form where the actual socket has a pin or a locking on it, a pin that locks, and when you snap it on, the spring shoots over. But you just got to use a pocket screwdriver to push the pin to release it to pull it up. Okay. Or you have the hand grenade pin top.
This may sound kind of crazy, but maybe you've seen it or heard it before. I know when I use my Matco 1/2 inch air gun or one of my Matco ratchets, a lot of times the snap-on sockets don't want to go on. I have to really like pop them on there, and then God, I got to pry them off. I was like, did they make these things like a 1/2 millimeter different? Just so that it would be different.
It's usually there's between everybody. There's a little bit of a tolerance difference.
Yeah.
But a lot of times sockets. I had a guy not too long ago. He kept bringing me his impact, telling me he had problems with a socket. The socket's not going on and fighting. Replace the ring or replace the ammo. I was like, dude, I guarantee you, it's the actual socket that's worn.
Yeah.
And he was like, "There's no way." And I'm like, "Well, that thing's rattling around in there, getting all four sides. The shit's beating out of them." Yeah. I said, "I guarantee your sockets are worn." And it was funny because it was a snap-on socket. And he had told the snap-on guy, and the guy said, he didn't want to warranty it.
Yeah.
And so finally he came back and he said something, and I think it was a 21 socket was the one that he had the most problems with. So I grabbed a brand new 21 off the truck. I put it on, and I said, comes on, off. I said, dude, I guarantee it's your socket. And I said, here, take my socket and use it for a week and tell me if you have a problem. And I said, in the middle, I said, put your other socket on and tell me, you had to fight it. And went. And finally, I guess he wore the snap-on guy down. The guy gave him a socket, and he never had a problem again.
Okay.
So, but this is what I'm talking about. You see how that has that hole through?
Yep. Yes.
That has a pin that goes through that and goes through the.
I thought that maybe in some cases you'd put a rod like a T-bar, like, for like on a tap. But I'm thinking, no, it would be so much smaller than that socket. You would have no leverage. If you had to do that by hand, it would never work. So it never made sense to me.
So, and technically, okay, now this is a heavy duty 3/4 inch socket.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So this is heavy. That's why, see this ring cut out?
Yeah.
That's when you put the pin in there and fold it over or it lays in there.
Oh. Okay.
You know, it
I've never
locks.
seen that done. I've never seen it. You know,
I've never seen
like
that either.
So,
Wow.
and
You
that
never learn.
keeps from you know, winging socket. If the socket comes off and going across and hitting the person next to him in the
Yeah, you
head,
don't want
or
to get hit.
yourself in the head.
You don't want to get hit in the head with that thing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, does the sockets come with that ring, or is that something you got to order?
That's separate. The ring, the pin that goes through the pin's separate. It usually comes with the gun.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Usually, but it's not. It's like I said, it's not super common. But that's Milwaukee. That's when you'll start reading, because they have mid torque, high torque, high speed. They have friction pin or friction ring. They have pinned. They, you know, and like I said, there's so many different ones for so many, like, I don't want to really say special applications, but job related. You know, somebody that's doing it, that's what they want.
Yeah.
And you know, it's something that you may never use. I mean, the guys, like a lot of guys, especially transmission shops, when we have a 1/2 inch to 3/8 extension, 36-inch long extension, so that when you're pulling down a transmission, you know, you're standing back, unbolting from the motor.
Yep.
Some guys will want to save the $50 and they buy one without a locking pin.
Uh-huh.
So when they got that swivel up there spinning around, it swings out and goes across the shop and breaks a windshield or hits a guy in the head or lose a tool that they never found. But we do have them with locking pins, so that when you put your socket in, it doesn't come off until you release it.
That makes sense.
So
now I have DeWalt, so I don't want to buy
new batteries, right?
New batteries,
yeah,
That's my problem. I
Yeah,
bought Craftsman.
yeah. I mean, DeWalt's okay. I mean, the other there's another tool company, Mac. That's who makes their stuff. That's what they sell. They sell DeWalt stuff.
You could probably get an adapter thing for the battery. I've seen that before. I don't know how good
There
they work.
there are some, I guess. The only problem that you run into is, and this is the catch-22, you cannot use the adapter to hook to the charger to charge that battery.
Oh, really?
Oh,
So you need the original charger.
So you need the original charger.
Oh,
So if you, because we've run into this where people will buy a battery because they have an adapter to fit the gun, but then the battery will not fit that charger because you cannot run the adapter through the charger.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But so he would, but like in Lewis's case, let's say he buys the Milwaukee, he's not going to get the battery. He would use his DeWalt that he already has. You just keep charging his DeWalt battery like normal.
if they have an adapter,
Yeah, if there's an adapter. Yeah.
But the only nice thing, and I as a guy or as a person that's not really big in battery, I'm starting to use it more, but I don't use a lot of it. I'm still an air guy. But the one thing I can honestly say, and of course I hope I don't jinx the company now, is that Milwaukee, if you have something that's 15 years old or you buy something today, that battery's the same damn battery. Unlike our brand, which really, you know, you sell a guy something 2 years later, they've changed something, and now the battery doesn't fit that other thing.
Yeah.
So the guy ends up with 17 different chargers, a handful of different batteries, and you know, I don't understand. Of course, I understand, you know, some of it's technology. You're getting a better battery or a different a supplier, and things change. But at least with Milwaukee, for the last, as long as I can remember, that battery has been the same through in. And you know, you have something old versus something new, you have a battery, and it hasn't gotten crazy. We had years and years ago, we sold a Makita, And I got Makita stuff that I can't find batteries for anymore now.
Yeah.
You know,
All
and
right.
like I said, so I'm, you know, I know I don't have a Milwaukee badge on my shirt, or it's all, but you can't beat it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what is this? I just found this. There's like a little Wi-Fi symbol on some of the tools. It's called One Key.
Oh yeah.
So,
What the heck is that?
so you
Oh,
can
look,
find it if in the shop. You can find your Bluetooth. You
And
hook
if
your
it's like
phone up.
if it's
What?
owned by the company, and you take it out of the tool room, they can tell when it walked out the door.
Yeah,
And here
where
it
it
says you could shut the tool off too.
You don't
can
shut off
start
the
the
Wi-Fi. I don't think. I know that in the commercial use, they did that in shops so that they could track their tools if somebody took it home.
yeah,
Yeah.
They'd know where it was.
You can disable the tool from an app.
yeah.
So you just make it so it doesn't work anymore?
Yep.
You pull the
Turn it
trigger,
off.
nothing happens. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
that's what happens. That's what happens. Well, it's like our scanners. Okay, we have that technology in our scanners. You don't pay for it, I turn it off.
The brick, yeah.
There you go.
So now that that scanner is worthless. You don't want to make payments?
Yep.
Yeah.
You got a brick.
Yep.
Right.
And that's why it's funny, because unfortunately, guys, that happens, and then they end up in a pawn shop, and the pawn shop guy doesn't know.
Yep. And he sells it.
And so then somebody buys it because they buy it, and then they come to me and say, "Hey, this thing turns on, but it doesn't do anything." And that's when you say, "Well, unfortunately, $3,000 are still owed on this, and are you going to pay for it because it's the property of Matco?"
Right.
So, and the nice thing, before you turn it off, it gives you a location where it's at. So, just like that Wi-Fi with the Milwaukee gun,
you can find where your stuff is, the tools.
Fine. So, but again, between the riveters, the rivet guns, they have. I mean, Milwaukee
everything.
has everything, dude. Everything under the sun.
They have a pump. You stick it in water and it shoots the water out. It's like
they have everything. There's everything and everything about whatever you do. You can get a Milwaukee tool.
What was I watching? Oh, I was watching Cletus McFarlane, and he was doing cement, and they were putting the rebar together. And he had a Milwaukee tool that went and clamps around the
clamp.
Yeah. I was like, what? I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Like, they do make everything.
They make everything and everything for it, and it's crazy.
I don't even know what that's called.
Like I said, you go through. I think we're up to something like, I think 500 SKUs now. We carry 500 part numbers in Milwaukee.
Holy cow!
I mean, like I said, anything and everything. I was kind of surprised, especially with the rivet guns, especially with this aluminum repair stuff, and the tension of grabbing the rivet and putting the aluminum together. When you're putting an aluminum panel on, is absolutely insane. And these guns, like I said, I think I've sold 2 of them. Fairly pricey. I mean, they're nothing cheap. I mean, we're talking $1,200-$1,300.
Wow.
But the guys, hand down, it just runs circles, especially not having the newest thing coming out. I can't wait. I ordered one from me. Was a DA, a sander.
Huh.
Those come out the first of the year for us, our DA sanders. And I mean, that's going to change the whole body shop, dude. These guys, they're already using so much cordless stuff, and now a sander. we have one with Mako. We had a DA sander, and I sold a few of them. And a lot of guys, like I said, some guys were okay, and they liked them to a point. But everything I've read about these DA, I can't wait to get one. I'm not even a body guy. I don't know what I'm gonna really need it for, but I'm gonna, I can't get over. And again, they have every type of pad to put on it. Is if you have a sticky paper, Velcro paper, they had different size pads. I think they had 3, 6. They might even have a size for like a mudder. That's a big, 9-inch or something.
Well, I hope they don't find out where I'm at, because what the shop owner bought was a thing called the Fez tool, and the Fez tool is a series of tools. The DA, short board, long board, and it's connected by a hose.
Yeah, into a
vacuum recovery, so you don't get dust all over the shop.
And the video I saw showed the DA connected to that tool.
Oh, nice.
So you can have a Milwaukee sander, and you have the vacuum. That's the
nice.
That's like the DA pad. I thought I had one here. Damn it. They have some guy asked me, because why do these have holes?
Oh yeah.
Why do the pads have holes? And I said, well, if you have the paper with the holes and you put it on, that's how the vacuum cleaner works. That's how it goes through the holes.
I have a little palm sander. I bought at Home Depot.
What?
I forget. It's orange and black. I forget whose it is, and it's got holes that it'll suck up the sand.
Yeah.
But, what I was going to say. What was I going to say? By the way, that paper, if you ever walking through a shop and you see that paper laid around, it's kind of like a white with bluish speckles in it.
Yeah.
And they also have it on a roll. It's like maybe 3 inches wide. Grab a scrap of it, or a scrap, or maybe one of those pads. They make the best electrical cleaning. It's for cleaning electrical connections, phenomenal. That paper rocks for electrical stuff. So,
Milwaukee has a lawnmower too.
Yep.
Yeah.
You put 2 batteries on it.
Yep. I got the. Believe it or not,
and it has lights. What in the heck?
Yeah. I've got one section of the yard, which is a pain in the ass on my John Deere. Actually, I weed whack it. I don't even cut it, and I'm half tempted to order one of the lawnmowers.
Yeah. Well, they have weed whackers too. You get that?
Yeah, I got that. I got the weed whacker. I got the blower. I got the pole saw cutter.
Right.
We had it's actually still going on, I think, but we had a fall cleanup, and then they spun it and had the hurricane cleanup, and that was it. It had a blower and a chainsaw. They have chainsaws.
Yeah.
They have tons of different chainsaws. It's crazy. I honestly have to admit, I knocked them at first and said, "There's no way." And
it's like whatever tool is out there. They said, "Let's just make that battery powered and figure it out and just make it."
Figure out how to,
yeah.
It's bad enough that I'm sure that if you look, they probably have a battery powered generator.
All right, so what? From battery powered tools, let's switch over to cars. And I did a job yesterday.
Did it have a battery in it? A battery hanging in the back? No.
It did not have a battery under the hood.
That acid, or was it doing lithium?
It was the 66 Mustang.
Oh, yeah.
We're back on that again. And since we could never get a good brake pedal, we've been sharing videos back and forth. I sent you one this week from a guy.
Yep.
And so the owner had bought a rod that was made to run manual. So your master cylinder goes on the firewall, and this was the rod for it. So I said, okay, my job was to take the booster off again. Oh, pain in the ass that is. And then mount the master to the firewall. Well, getting the booster off is the first pain in the ass, because they put these 2 brackets on there that are like C-channel, and the nuts are in the C channel, so you can't get a wrench in there. I mean, well, you can, but it's a real pain in the neck. So, and it's the hood hinges. I was going to take the hood off, but I didn't. So then the next problem was to get he took his proportioning valve and mounted it in the center of the firewall under the cowl. And he used Bendaflex, luckily. But now the master was spaced for the booster. Now I had to push it in to mount on the firewall. And luckily the Bendaflex, I had to just grab it and bend it and literally just muscle it out of the way. I said, you're going to get on there. And I was telling myself, I could just cut these lines, rebend them, reflare them. But I said, no, I'm only doing one thing at a time. I'm not doing two things. I'm not going to induce, a bleed again.
Right. Another issue or anything.
I was dead set on just doing the one thing. And it took a while, but I got it. And sure enough, the pedal is harder and firmer. It's still not way up high. I did leave an air gap on that rod. I didn't want to have a problem. But the brakes are now a lot better. So I took the car for a drive. And the other thing he complained about was the power steering wasn't power. It was like non-power. It was almost like less than power. So we determined there was no fluid in it. So I fill it up, and I tell you,
all ran out the bottom.
It will. I came out of that shot out of the driveway. I almost sideswiped 3 trucks and 4 cars because the steering was so freaking vague. It was like Chrysler power steering, how bad that is. This was worse than that. So the brakes were better, but now the freaking steering is all over the place. So
I think down on that piston, there's a adjustment rod. There's an adjustment down on that piston. Because the Ford has, how it hangs down, it sits on the control arm. I mean, not on the control arm, but the tie rod, the drag link. The hoses go down, and I think on the one side there's a nut and a screw, and I think there's an adjustment, like on the old steering box or the old,
So the box doesn't have the adjustment.
Yeah, no, I think there's one there. There might be one on the box too, but I'm almost sure that there's one on the hydraulic unit.
Because he was talking about now going to electric steering and all. I'm like, oh, I don't want to.
Yeah, that's the hot trick. You get a electric steering thing out of a Ford Fiesta or a what's the other small that Chevrolet thing.
Escort.
No, it's a Chevrolet.
I know some people use it off a Prius. They use it.
Oh, Prius. That's what I'm sorry. The Prius, the Toyota Prius. That's what it is. Not the Chevrolet.
Do you need one? Anybody need one? I have a Prius sitting in my backyard.
Yeah. This guy will have me do it in a second, but I told him. And I said to him, I said, listen, let's not go talking about power rack and pinion. I said, Brian already laid down the rule. It sucks. It doesn't work. In Mustangs, there's nothing but trouble, so don't even go there. I told him that.
You just gotta fuck with that damn bump steer. I mean the bind in the steering if you got to cut all that open. That's I guess it really depends on how it's done, I guess. But man, I want to tell you that video that you sent me, Ray. Like you said, I can't believe that was from 6 years and all the surfing and all the running around how that came up. You know what I'm saying?
And we all did searches. And that literally just popped up in my feed.
Yeah. And
I was 6 years old.
I think there was I didn't save it. I'm really bad about not logging in. So
I know. So you don't save stuff.
So it doesn't show up in my history. Now I can go back. It depends on how long ago, because you can say what you want. There is on the regular page, like what you watched, especially if I don't finish something and say, do you want to finish watching this or whatever? But it won't stay there because, like I said, if you bounce around on your feed or your inputs, that changes constantly. There's no history of it or whatever. Yeah. But I was really surprised because when he was talking about how the wheel bearings fell apart, and everything like that, and then I was like, well, that's typical today. But then when like you said, that was 6 years ago. Right. That was pre-COVID.
Right.
That was like, hey, we were still USA made in America, I guess.
CJ Pony Parts kit.
Right. And I'm like,
I don't know when they were sold, but They've been going downhill. So that's why I sent it to Mike too. And I said, if you remember, I said, when I took the Olds apart to do the brakes, I found the bearings in one wheel and I took a picture of it. It was gold. I said, and I told you that's a bad bearing. It's probably a Chinese bearing. The other side was fine. I said, that's what I'm talking about. This guy's literally, his fell apart. They just got so bad.
And it destroyed the spindle.
And it ate the spindle too, right?
Yeah. And that's fine. Well, it's not really fine eating the spindle, but that's a big difference, especially with that Mustang, because you're only in a small time period of, you could put it from a Falcon or from a Mustang, those were the same, but year-wise, that was a 2-year thing. Those cars changed.
Right.
And that little stuff changed where, you're kind of limited. It's not like, I don't really want to pick on your car, but, like your GTO with the A-body. I mean, there was a lot of A-body. I mean, when you look at between Oldsmobile, Chevrolet, Buick, Pontiac.
Sure. Right.
There's a lot of cars.
So here's something that I ran by the owner and I don't know how to find the information. I said to him, I'm talking about brake line diameter. I said, you ran 3/16, and I said, which is common. I said, but maybe rear disc brakes, because there's more volume in the caliper, needs a larger tube, like a 1/4-inch tube, to supply the volume to the calipers. I said, now I'm starting to think maybe that's part of the issue. And we had to go through the whole thing about pressure and volume and back and forth and garden hoses and all of that analogy. But I still wondered, I said to him, I have no way of knowing where, no book that I ever saw ever laid out brake line size.
Yeah.
So you look at the car, you take a piece, you go get it at the auto parts store.
I'm almost thinking that you need to pull out the Bosch Blue Book and start doing some looking in there, because I'm sure that's probably got it in there.
He asked me about, he goes, what about we just check another car? I said, yeah, go find a 66 Mustang with 4-wheel disc brakes. I said, I'll go check it. And he's like, oh, yeah, right. They didn't come that way. I'm like, right, exactly.
Yeah.
But, a later model. And then we were talking about which cars came with it. I said, well, Fox Body still had drum. I said, I guess it wasn't until the 90s that Mustangs went 4-wheel disc.
Yeah, well, the only ones that were like 4-wheel disc, Fox Body wise, was like the SVO, and that was
one of those.
Yeah, and that was a turbo coupe. That was basically the turbo coupe motor with drivetrain and so forth. But going back to the bearing things, I'm glad that I spent earlier with the Mustang digging through, buying stuff from 30 years ago. Because, I got bearings that when you read on the side, it says USA.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And I got, I have like I said, I bought at that time, stockpiling parts. I got 2 drawers full of all the bearings for the rears, the 9-inch rears, transmission. I bought it all. I bought all the bearings, and seals.
So do you have all the parts for that car?
I have a good bit of them. I have a good
all
bit
over the place.
I mean, I unfortunately, I have a lot. I have a lot of stuff. And I can go either way. Like I said, I can put I bought the stuff for coil springs. I've got coilovers. I got coilovers. I've got for a rack. I got a rack. I can put a rack in. I can go right back to factory. I got all the factory stuff. I mean, like I said, the biggest problem I had was I didn't want. Every time I say I want to cut this car, I can't cut it.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, Ray has kind of got. I needed just to put it back together.
Right.
And drive it.
You can cut it later.
And if I want to improve and put Actually, I watched this guy. I think I sent you the guy that did one of the brake lines on the the guy that's restoring that GT 350. I think I sent you because he did brake lines on it. He has a original 65, I think. Maybe it's a 66. I think it's a 66 Shelby that he's redoing, and he's kind of updating it period correct, but he is modern, getting the suspension kind of modern, and he's done a lot of work. I mean, back in the day, even because I was pulling the sway bar through the control arms on mine, and I finally I boxed in the control arms to make them stronger and put a washer where the sway bar, because I had put this 1.5-inch sway bar on it, and the car was pulling. The picture with the Ray when I'm launching it, I should have unhooked the sway bar because that thing was just pulling right through. These are things that we don't know until we get older. But and I'm like, Brian, just put that stuff back on. You got it all. All I gotta do is blast it. Hell, half the stuff's blasted. I've been blasting stuff. Blast it, paint it, and put it back together.
Yeah,
that's what I was getting to. I was like, most people don't put their cars back together because they can't find the parts or they don't have the money to do it.
Right.
You have it there. Like Ray said, drive it. If you don't like the way it drives, then cut it.
Yeah. And I got the motor. You can't see, but I got the motor sitting over there. I got a motor. I got the transmission sitting. I mean, like I said, I probably between I have all the brake stuff. I mean, I got everything, dude. I might have to buy a clutch disc, fluids, and I guess a lot of tequila.
And most people don't have people that come help them. You have a gang of people that come down there and help you.
The only problem I have with that, see, I just don't have. I need
the room.
I got to clean out. I've been cleaning. I'm serious. Well, we're still live. I can't say this. I'll have to text it to you guys what happened. But I've got 4 feet cleaned out over by the car. And like I said this weekend, hopefully I can get another 4 feet so that I have the room. But the problem is when they I'll just say it. The wife saw it and said, "Oh, I can park my car in the garage."
8 feet. It's still not.
And actually, I'm saying, man, I'd love to get the Audi in here so that I can pull the motor, because I really don't want to pull the motor out in the backyard.
Yeah. Somebody else said that to me this week about, clean it up. And then he goes, and whenever I do that, I clean up space. And then my wife or kids, I'm like, yeah, me too. I'm in the basement. I clean out a spot and I find bins dumped there and all sorts of other shit. I'm like, no, that was for me. That was my spot. I can't win. I just can't win.
And actually, the garage is kind of funky because I don't have a high ceiling. So I'm kind of limited and so forth. Yeah. And even though it's not like the old days when the wife had the Excursion or my F350, because that wasn't fitting through. That was like watching a marshmallow being squeezed through a wedding ring. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because that was tight. And but honestly, don't want to say it too loud, but
yeah,
if I did get rid of my mess, can get things organized to the point I wouldn't have a problem for her to park in the garage.
Yeah,
to say, I mean, there would be space. I mean, trust me, the garage big enough. When the garage is cleaned out, I mean, at one time when I was working in it, I used to put 4 cars in here.
I just saw a house down in North Carolina where the guy has a nice 3-car garage detached, and then to the side of it, he built like another room, which is like, I think he uses it for his lawn tractor or whatever. It's another garage, and then past that, it's another 2-car that he put on it. I'm like, yeah, he's got like 6-car garage doors, like beautiful, nice. Problem is, my daughter actually drove by the place because it's not far from her, it's kind of one of those semi-main roads, and there's like, mixed. There's maybe a little commercial over there, a little, and my and my wife is like, no, I don't know. I'm like, hey, commercial ain't bad. Those guys are cool. Yeah. What the hell?
Well, the funny part, and it's the fact, when you have a lot of space, you have more stuff.
That's so true.
I mean, unless you're very strict and because I've had guys, I have buddies that you walk into a place and they have something, like a 30-foot by 24 place, you're like, wow, this is awesome. And you come back 2 weeks later and you can't even walk in it. Can't even walk. You got,
I know people that do something like, if I bring something in, something has to go out.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's no fun.
And
yeah, right.
and I know, and I mean, I laugh because I walk by, I go by and see I have a section, and I made the mistake when, like, I have a whole bunch of the knee-off parts cabinets, electrical cabinets, from the garage, from a garage, where cabinets. The cabinets, and I got the one that had used to have all the little individuals to put points and condensers,
and
so forth. Of course, I cut those out, and it has a shelf, and then I guess there are 3 or 4 drawer cabinets. I got 10 of them. But the problem is that I already I put them in the floor of the garage that were supposed to be hung up.
Yeah.
So that I could put the stuff in. So I got the cabinets on the floor. I got the stuff that's supposed to go in the cabinets on top of the cabinets because I can't get to the walls because I've got the walls filled,
Right.
When I look, instead of just when I was bringing the stuff over and putting it all together at that time, saying, "Oh, I'll do it later." And
so you do it, come home, mount those cabinets right away.
Right. And and like I said, I got, I have to, I know I have to gut the garage, and that for me to put the stuff, I don't have any place to put the garage.
Yeah. Well, it's like I told my wife. I said I was in my garage looking around. I got a lot of stuff on a shelf that's, extra stuff. Also, some media for my media tumbler, and it's all boxed up. I said, I could really take that all down and box it up, tape it, label it, and it's ready to go. I said, but where am I going to put the box? Like right now, it has the space on the shelf, but if I take it off the shelf, I don't have space for it.
Yeah.
I need like another garage to put the stats.
A storage unit? Pay a storage unit?
Well, I did that with my storage unit. When I moved storage units, and I said, okay, I'm going to do this right. Went and bought all this shelving, and I had bought, I'd gotten a storage unit. It was like 3 units down from the one that I have now. Okay. And I went in, put the shelves in, and I started moving things, and that became the cycle, the pit. You know what I'm saying? It's like everything goes into one storage unit so that I can organize, put it in the other, and it rotates around. And I'm still, to this point, I still have both storage units because it was originally just to get out of one.
Right.
And now I have 2, and now they're both filled.
Right.
And I'm like, and well, it's not bad, but like I said, then it's like, okay. It was funny. I told Brianna, I said, what are you doing? I said, what are you doing this weekend? And she's like, I'm busy, because she knows I'm grabbing her and telling her that she's got the organizational skills down. She's a good packer up.
Right.
And going through the bins. That was another mistake. God, don't ever just give me an empty bin.
Yeah.
If I don't mark it, because I'll fill it up and then I don't even know what's in there anymore.
Yeah. This weekend, I had all my cleaning supplies in like 2 baskets, like 2 little plastic baskets, whatever. And so we did some rearranging in the house. Now I have this big cabinet in the garage that we used to have in the house. And my wife's like, yeah, put all your stuff in there. So the 2 baskets, it's only, whatever, not so big. It took up the whole thing. I'm like, oh, all right, I got all this room.
Yeah.
Because I had it crammed all in those little things. Now I have it all spread out. I'm like, I got to go through it.
And then my wife says too, she watches these videos, says, if you haven't used something in a year, you probably don't need it. I said, no, I use stuff that like I haven't used in a couple of years. It's, just wouldn't go buy it again. I'm like, well, that's the problem. I'm always buying stuff. Now I end up having 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
I don't remember where the other ones are.
And like I said, I've told Ray, this usually what bites me, because then I get the idea that this might be a better place for it.
Yeah.
So you move it. Yeah. So you move it, and then you're like, I know you go back to the place where it used to be, and you're like, oh, that's right, I moved it. Where did I move that thing?
That's my Reamer story.
Well, what I started doing is, like, I couldn't find some tool, whatever it was, some screwdriver, and I'm like, and the first place I look, I go, well, it's not there. Looking around. I finally found it. Like, all right, I'm gonna put it back to the first place I looked. Well, now maybe next time I'm gonna look the same spot. No, hopefully.
That's my Reamer story. I had a regular 1/2-inch tapered Reamer, and it was a Blue Point in a little pouch, and I had it hanging on the. I got a section of pegboard in the garage by the workbench, so I had it hanging there for years. And then one day I'm redoing stuff in the toolbox, making room, moving stuff around. I said, hey, I got my drill bits in here and the step bits in here. I'm like, that fucking Reamer should be with this stuff, because that's when I would use it. So I put it there. And then sometime later, I'm doing a project and I need the Reamer. I go to get it off where the hell's the Reamer? Oh, fuck. Like, at first I thought it never got put back, but no, I would definitely put it back. I know I put it back, because then if I didn't put it back, I'd see the pouch laying around. Yeah. So no, that's not it. Where is it? And then finally I remembered, didn't I put that somewhere? And it took me a while. So I didn't find it that day. I found it later. And when I got it out of that toolbox, what did I do? I put it right back on the pegboard.
Yeah.
And that's where it is. If I need it, even though it's not the right place, that's where it lives.
Yeah. I have a siding tool that I have. It's a special siding tools, little hook. And I put it on the same thing. I have a pegboard in the garage, and it's always there. Yeah. And I just used it, whatever it was, last weekend. And my son put the tools away. I'm like, it's not there. Where is it?
Yeah.
I had to go find it. And I'm like, okay, put it back on this peg.
You got to teach him the protocol.
Yeah. Put it back on. Well, he didn't get the tool. I gave it to him, so he didn't know where it was.
Right.
He just put it where he thought, this drawer,
Right.
So
I've watched a couple guys, and I don't know if I can actually. I'm probably better off. I watched one guy where he had a numbering system, and he had it on his phone. He had it on his phone, so he could search and say, "I'm looking for this," and it told him, bin A. Drawer 5, and he said it was a pain. It was a little bit of a pain. He said it took, a week to do it, but once he sat down and did it, he could find everything and anything that he could do.
I'll tell you what, I've been saying I should do that with my radio stuff show, and Louis, like, for here, the same thing for years, because sometimes I'll talk about a guest. Oh, I had that guy on the show. When was it? I need that database so I can just type in his name and it'll pop up every time he was on the show, but I never created it. And now I'm 20 years in, and it's like, God, do I even want to start?
Right.
It's like, I know if I start, I'll do some every day. I'll dog at it, but it's a hell of a project.
Right. Well, I've kind of started, but I'm better off with my little black book. A different book, but it does seem my biggest problem, or I wish I had the time. I love watching that guy, the guy who was it from Mythbuster,
Adam,
whatever his name is,
Savage.
Yeah, because he has his own little YouTube, and he's always organizing his shop. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
With his bins, and he makes a lot of his own drawers. And the only thing that drives me absolutely insane is like when he made a cabinet, and instead of like, a label,
right,
that's magnetic, so you can put it on the drawer. He just took his Sharpie and wrote on the toolbox.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I have commitment problems. I couldn't just write and that could be permanent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what's changes it? Yeah, what's he gonna do?
Yeah, so
I did that because years ago I was using a P-Touch label maker. So my drawers in the garage and down here in the basement have P-Touch labels. But then the label maker went missing and ends up take a piece of masking tape, stick it up there, and you write on it.
But the problem that I found, and it's going along, see, it's like
we can get clear tape, do clear tape right on it.
It's these bins have been pretty good.
Oh,
see, this is all my hog ring stuff. These are my hog rings and my pliers.
Yeah.
And this has been pretty good. It's finding a place where it can actually fit instead of having a pile of them laying all over,
True, you need a system,
Yeah. So
Adam would make a shelf that
fits those things, yeah.
Well, that's what I've been kind of watching. I mean, thinking, but again, so far, and this is I think these are called shoe box size. I mean, shoes are supposed to fit in these,
right?
Shoes. This is from. This has been pretty good. This is one of the things that Brianna got me kind of hooked on.
Yeah.
But keeping stuff like that, because before, like I said beforehand, if I had to do and try to find,
who knows.
So these I don't have one here. I have them out in the shed. Those plastic ammo boxes from Harbor Freight are really nice too.
I just bought a couple more. Yeah, I just bought a couple more. I'm gonna buy a few more this weekend.
Yeah, because when they go on sale, when they're $2.99 or whatever, when they go 70% off or whatever it is, I walk out with the.
Yeah, I mean, I bought them. I think at the metal ones were what 10 or 12, and the plastic ones were maybe 4 or 6. And I bought a couple of them a few weeks ago, and this is great.
Then you're putting a label on it, or like what's in it.
Actually, I need to, because right now I just have
a whole row of the boxes. Oh shit, which one's that thing?
Yeah.
I kind of know what's in what right now, but I got to do that.
The one
they got a seal in them too that seals it.
See, I did it years ago when I was using the metal ones, because I had stuff in here for my. See, with the P-Touch, I had my Colt Mustang. I had a whole bunch of Mustang parts.
Oh, yeah.
I had them in here. Now this is just all like grips and generic grips and things.
When I do have to, I have to admit that I committed to a relationship on that, because the ones in the shed are written with the Sharpie. The tools that were in there.
Never take those out.
Huh?
They have to stay in there forever now.
Yep. I mean, I actually, but that was one of those. I had it was a trade-in. It was a trade-in toolbox that I had. It was a top box. It was a Snap-on that lower end. So it was that Samurai. Oh no, not Samurai. The Suzuki green, that neon green. They had a green and orange neon box in the early mid 90s or whatever. And a guy traded in just the top. He wanted to keep the bottom, and he had traded in the top, and it was pretty beat up. And I put that in the shed, and it was all right for years. But it got the problem was the tools started to really rust. Moisture wise, being in that shed. Yeah. And I had a few, and if I sprayed them down, it was just a mess. And finally, those. When I changed some stuff around, I had just gotten a handful of those boxes, and because, like you said, they seal, they're watertight. I mean, they're waterproof and everything. And I just keep the tools for the lawnmower, the stuff that I use for the lawnmower there.
Yeah,
and it's fairly easy. They don't take up a lot of room. Actually, gave me more room. Actually, that was probably the main reason. Is just space for that. Even though it was 41 inches by 19 deep or whatever, it just took up a little more space than what I didn't have that much tools in it.
Yeah.
So
I need to cut a metal corrugated like roofing. Like little waves. What do you think is the best way? What do you think is the best way to cut it? Get a circle saw or something?
Yeah, Mike at the shop was asking me the same thing. He's gonna put it over the awning we had. The awning kept falling down. It's got the metal pipe. He wants to put it over that. And we were discussing like maybe a whiz wheel. Draw the line and cut it with the whiz wheel.
You have a bandsaw?
Because the stuff is pretty tough. I mean, is it yours galvanized?
Yeah, it's galvanized. Yeah,
it's tough stuff. It's you're not cutting out with a hand cutter.
No, there's no way. Plus, it's wavy, so hand cutter's not gonna.
That's why the whiz wheel, is probably the best way to go. Or you get like a cutoff wheel for a circular saw.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe a circular saw I can do it.
Right. That's what's on my list.
Or sacrifice a blade.
Yeah, I'm watching the sales at Ace and Home Depot. I want to get like a Milwaukee battery-powered circular saw, just to take outside, just to cut stuff up quick, so you don't have to bring the cord out.
Yep.
Yeah. It's on my list.
We're gonna re-roof the chicken coop. My wife's like, "Oh, we're gonna get some shingles." I'm like, "No, we just took all this metal down from somewhere else. Why don't we just use that? And we don't have to. We just screw it right to it's a chicken coop. It's an old shed."
Until the late nights of a heavy rain and you have your windows open and you hear that rain beating on that metal and you get pissed off because the sound.
I have the metal shop there, so it's.
I got a neighbor that has a metal roof, and if you're really listening, you can hear it.
No, when it rains and I'm in my shop because I don't have any insulation or anything on the inside. You can't. If someone's next to you, you can't even hear them talk. You have to yell. It's so loud in there.
Yeah.
But now I have all the stuff in there, and I 15 years ago I put the metal building up.
Yeah.
And it would have done spray foam, but it was way out of my reach.
Yeah.
To pay for it back then. Now maybe I could. Yeah, it's still a lot. But I just want to do the ceiling. But now I have all those cars and all this.
How tall is your roof? How tall is the roof?
15. I think it's 15 feet is the peak.
Okay, so next time you're driving through the ghetto and you see a couch laying in the street, pick up the couch and take the couch and hang it up in the ceiling, and that could be your detoning. That'll be your detoning noise sound buffer, and
picking up
have a highly tuned, precision, amplified speaking system, and that will dampen the noise.
That's a good idea.
I'm not really getting what you're saying, but I'm just gonna go with it.
Just hang old carpet and stuff like fuzzy carpet.
Well, that's
carpet, but a couch.
Yeah, well, I was at a place one time, and you walked by and you looked up in the ceiling, and there's like this 8-foot couch laying up there, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And the guy goes, "That's part of the sound deadening." I mean, that's
it's more work to hang it than anything.
Huh?
It's more work to hang it than anything.
Come on, man. When it's free, we'll find a way to do it.
Yeah.
Free means we'll just hang it up there. You got he had couch cushions that had for bearing. I mean, the noise.
I mean, I could probably actually do that because all these houses, like in St. Pete and all by the water, they just emptied their house out and just threw it all out. I'll let it sit out for a a get the mold and dry it out.
Yeah.
Get some. I guess then you'll have to get some. What's that stuff? Poof or whatever. The anti-smelling spray it on. It's good enough to eat and drink and spray your pet down. So no more odors, man. You be
Febreze or something. Yeah.
you be it. You know, it's better than Febreze. That poof stuff will take out any smell. It breaks it down. I watch a lot of late night TV. Don't worry, man. I got you. I got your back, man.
You got to get it from the Home Shopping Network.
No, you get it at Walmart.
Oh, okay.
They even got the stuff now that goes in the cat litter, and it saves your cat litter. You get 3 times the use out of your cat litter.
It's funny. They have the website, poof.com.
That's hey, you know, Keith, you're really starting to hurt my feelings that you're fact checking me so much. You know what I'm saying?
My wife says, no, I want to order this stuff.
I mean, you know, look, you know, at least do it when I'm not on the air if you're going to fact check me so much. All right? I mean, geez.
Fact checking me.
It's like, man, it's like the debate thing going over here, man. You're just checking me left and right.
Hey, guys, I'm going to jump off because my Wi-Fi keeps jamming me up here.
All right, Lewis.
All right, Lewis. Good talking.
So I'll talk to you guys next week.
Yeah, just go live when you're at SEMA. Just stay 24/7.
Oh, yeah, just let it run.
Just tell Mama to keep clothes on because you're live 24/7.
Right.
Yep.
Leave the baby oil upstairs.
Well, I can't find any. P. Diddy bought it all.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
All right, Lewis. So long. All right. I guess, we should go silent ourselves and do all that. So, for playing Traffic, Lewis Lee. We'll be back next week. Ray Guarino. Of course, we got Keith in the house and Mackle Man Brian. I don't know. Isaac must be out making tortillas. He must be busy. But we'll be back next week, Thursday at 9. See you then.
Yep.
Hey guys.
Adios.